everyone. Hello. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And I would like to give a special shout out because I do know a couple that is celebrating their wedding anniversary today as well. You know who you are, but happy wedding anniversary to you. Many, many, many more blissful, peaceful, joyful, and love filled years of your marriage. So, with it being Valentine's Day and all, I thought it would be cute to do a little chit chat on just relationships, potential partners, ideal lists, whatever it is. Let's just have an informal chit chat. Now, disclaimer, or is it a disclaimer? I had to think for a second. It is a disclaimer. Now, I'm not professing to be any type of, relationship expert. I can only speak from my experiences, things I've read up, things I've learned, things I've heard from other people, etc., etc. So take it as you will. And also, I'm home, I'm chilling, I'm taking things easy. This is like something comfortable that's pink that I could wear to kind of match with the Valentine's theme. And I also have some pink in this lovely scrunchie my bestie got for me. So yeah, that's why I'm wearing this because I just wanted something to match like Valentine's, etc. I just didn't really want to do a whole get ready with me because I'm home. So that's out of the way. Let's get into the meat of today's chit chat. So I'm not sure if it's the same for you watching, but for me, I would say when I was in my 20s, even in my like teens, a rhetoric, a narrative that was kind of told to me was about writing down character traits and a list of what you would like in an ideal husband, right? For me, like my ideal partner. So what would an ideal husband look like for you? So that was something I was just kind of told as I was growing up, as I mentioned, teens, 20s. And now I'm in my 30s, mid 30s, and I sometimes think about, because as you may or may not know, I love writing. So I've got so many journals. And sometimes I look back on the journals and the list that I was writing before, and I just be like, girl, seriously? And that's not to say I was writing nonsense, because, yeah, of course, you know, I, like growing up in the faith, certain things have been non negotiables from the start. So when I say certain things, I'm talking about the the man in question having his own relationship with Christ, being grounded in the Lord. So things like that, they've been on my list. They still remain on my list. They will be non-negotiables. But I think one of the things I'm really grateful for, having grown up, having matured, having experienced love interests and situationships and things that didn't necessarily pan out or work out the way I would have liked, one of the things I'm so grateful for is the fact that I've begun to really and truly know myself. Because when I look back at my list, a lot of the things that were on my list were things I've just heard people say. They weren't necessarily things that I wanted for myself and for a potential partner, for a relationship, for marriage. They were just nice to haves. And as I've grown, and as I've mentioned, as I've experienced, love interest, situationships, I've come to realize like there were certain things that I'm putting on my list now that definitely weren't on my list before. So let me give you an example. Kindness. I would never in my teens or 20s thought about kindness being a specific trait that I would want on a list for a future partner. Now, that is one of course, as mentioned, aside from my non-negotiables. So just have those non-negotiables in terms of him having a relationship with Christ, his foundation being Christ. So those things, that's not shifting from my list. So everything that I'm talking about in addition are just additional things to that. Kindness now is one of the top of my list. Like, no. Because I have seen some things, and there is a difference in somebody that is kind and somebody that is not kind. And I was about to say girl, but a multitude of people could be what. There is truly, truly a difference in a kind man and an unkind man. And trust me, I don't want any unkind men. Please, I'm not interested. Kindness is at the top of my list. Kindness. Another thing that's linked to kindness is consideration. Right, let's get the dictionary out. Consideration is the act of careful thought towards someone or a thing, thoughtful or sympathetic regard or respect. So, for example, showing consideration for one's feelings, showing thoughtfulness for others, having careful thought towards others, right? Okay. Again, through certain experiences, consideration is not something a lot of people have. And I'm not even talking men right now, but in general, consideration is not something a lot. I'll give you some examples. So, for example, you tell someone that you're going through something, and not making excuses. Like, I've come to realize that sometimes a lot of individuals, they don't have the emotional capacity to be able to support people. And again, it's not an excuse. That's just probably they don't have the emotional capacity, the emotional maturity to be able to do certain things. That's absolutely fine. But telling someone you're going through something and then somebody just either ignoring it or not even recognizing that you've mentioned it, like things like that, it's not really gonna land for me. Everyone is able to pick and choose what they desire, what works for them. But I'm quite a considerate person, as mentioned. I'm very much, if someone tells me they're going through something, I very much want to be able to sit with them, help them through it, listen to them, whatever it is they need. I'm quite highly considerate of feelings. And that's not to say I'm expecting myself, because I understand everyone's different and it's important for people to have different qualities, bring different things to the table, etc., etc. But kindness, consideration, those two things for me are quite high on my list. Now, I'm not going to tell you everything on my list because that's just between me and the Lord, but I'm giving you some examples of things that were not on my list when I was much younger to things that are on my list now, and I would definitely count as, these things are critical for me in a potential partner. Now, of course, on the list, again, something a bit more lighthearted that I've added is humor and funniness. I make myself laugh, so I think I'm hilarious, to be totally honest. And I've got people around me as well that can attest to the fact that B's a funny girl. If you're not going to make me laugh, not every day, serious, not every day, let's have a structured meet. Sometimes let's just laugh. Let's just watch TikTok videos. Let's just kiki. Let's just ha ha. Let's just hee hee. Let's have a good time. If you can't make me laugh, then I'm really sorry. It's just not really going to happen. Life is to be lived. Life is to be enjoyed. God has said that we should enjoy the goodness of the world, the goodness of the land that we're living in. Please, let's laugh. Let's let there be humor. Let us enjoy. Please, please, please. I don't want to have a sad face. I want to be laughing. I want to be smiling. Laughter, having a good sense of humor, being funny. That's something that I've recently added onto my list. When I say recently, I'll say within the past 6 months, because I've been thinking about this a lot. But yeah, this wasn't on my list way back then. Other things that I find interesting is understanding how a person kind of makes you feel. So, of course, through movies, media, Hollywood, all of that stuff, when you watch rom-coms and stuff like that, a lot of the time they talk about the butterflies, like butterflies in the stomach, etc., etc., etc. No one's saying that you shouldn't get butterflies or you shouldn't feel nervous or excited when you're looking upon someone that you find attractive. Like, oh, like it makes you blush, it makes you smile. It's natural, it's normal. But that shouldn't be the basis upon which you're making your decisions with regards to a life partner. You need to think about, how does this person make me feel, like just generally. Now, I was in a situation share like a few years ago, and it wasn't until I was out of it that I realized that the individual really did make me feel anxious. And at the time, I couldn't point it to the person because of course I was so enamored with them. So I couldn't see that someone that you like love and someone that you're in a situation with, like I couldn't see that that individual could be giving rise to anxiety. But once I was out of it, the situationship, and I realized that, oh, wait, hold on a second. One day it dawned on me, I'm not the anxiety, like that feeling. There was just an underlying feeling, like I just didn't have it anymore. And I realized like, oh wow, like of course certain things were starting to piece together. And I realized that that individual and the anxiety, the questions, all of that were inextricably linked. But again, I couldn't recognize it at the time. So it's about being aware of yourself in your baseline state. It's about truly, truly, truly praying, God, help me to recognize and to discern. Because feelings, yes, feelings, they shouldn't be your master, but feelings and emotions, they will indicate. They're an indicator. They are telling you, they're alerting you to something. If you don't, like your stomach when you're hungry, you will feel it. It's telling you we need to eat, right? Throat feeling a bit parched, we need to have some water. We're dehydrated. All of these things are indicators, and you need to pay attention to it. But ask the Holy Spirit to give you that spirit of discernment to be able to listen through the noise that all the love and excitement and the can make, right? Because you don't want to miss the signs. Your body will talk to you. Your body will give you signs. And there's been a lot of talk lately on social media regarding nervous systems, regarding, being calm. And there's one lady I've recently started following. I'm going to try find, yeah, some quotes. I'll put her out on the screen. But her name is Gillian Turecki. I've been following her, and some of her quotes have really been resonating with me in the area of relationships. So I'm going to read some now that align to what I'm speaking about regarding nervous system. It says, when someone doesn't fully choose you, your nervous system knows it. Trying to be enough for someone you care about is one of the most draining experiences there is. 100% resonate with that, because one of the things that I can definitely attest to with like previous situationships I've had, like from my teenage years to my 20s, is your body will know. And like as mentioned, looking back, I can see it. At the time, I couldn't. One, I was just too young and just didn't really understand the whole concept of it. And also, I didn't know myself. And I'm not saying I'm 100% alignment and 100% fully know myself, because to this day, I am still discovering things. I'm still learning things. Listen, I'm still going through it. Yes, I'm here in my pink dressing gown, laughing on YouTube, but there is a work going on behind the scenes. Let me tell you that for free. But your body is going to tell you. Your body will tell you. And trying to, when you keep trying, like as if you when you're with someone, or when there's someone that you want to try and potentially build with, that you shouldn't need to be trying to get their attention, trying to get their time, trying to get, no. It should be, no one's saying it should be smooth sailing, but it shouldn't be feeling like there's, block, indications. Let's not ignore the signs, please. Let's not hurt ourselves. Let's not do that. Another quote: stop negotiating for the bare minimum. Your body has been telling you the truth the entire time through tension, anxiety, exhaustion. These are signals. Choose the relationship where your system feels calm, supported, and safe. So, as we know, psychological safety is huge nowadays. Don't put yourself in a situation. So, if you bear your heart open to someone, like I said, as the example I mentioned earlier, maybe you're going through something and you want to share that with someone, and the response is literally like there's no response, there's nothing. Is that a space where you feel safe? And then you have to ask yourself the question, like, I've shared something, I've bared my heart, this person hasn't shown any kind of regard to it whatsoever. Now, if you now decide to keep sharing, you're hurting yourself. So, in that instance, choose yourself and step back from the situation. Please, let us be making the right decisions and the right choices. Here's another one. No relationship is perfect, but a good relationship feels secure. You're not walking on eggshells or fighting to feel significant. You feel appreciated, you feel valued, and you feel chosen. When you feel chosen, you will know you feel chosen. And there's no other way I can fully describe that. I'm yet to say that I've been in a situation that has given me that, because I haven't. When I do, by the grace of God, I'll be able to come back and, share my experience of the difference between feeling chosen and, not. And this is in relation to, future marriage kind of relationships. I'm not talking about friendships. I'm not talking about, your community. I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about like romantic relationships here. When you feel chosen, I am 100% sure you will know, because it will feel totally different to the times where you felt you've had to perform, you felt you've had to do the most to try and get that time, that attention. You shouldn't have to fight for that. You shouldn't. The last quote on her thread pertaining to this says, don't ever settle. Choose someone who feels lucky to have a front row seat to your life. Now, you need to remember, we're daughters of the kings, we're son of the king. We have a God that literally sent his son to die for us. Okay, so we are top notch. This is not to say be uberly prideful, etc., but it's coming back to that whole point of knowing who you are, knowing and understanding your worth. Do not settle for the bare minimum when God has already gone over and above for you. Don't sell yourself short. Like, we live and we learn, but please don't sell yourself short. Definitely wanted to end, like, just bringing it back to the word. I didn't want this to be a long one, just a really quick high level chit chat. But I wanted to bring it back to the word, and seeing as we are talking about love, relationships, Valentine's Day, I wanted to ask to read 1 Corinthians 13:4, which gives us the blueprint of what love is. Love is patient and kind. Side note, I just realized this, like, as I was prepping for this, the fact that kindness is on my list now. And then when I was reading this, and I was like, oh my gosh, love is kind. This was never something I would have considered before. So if you are looking for a list and you want to be able to write a list, I would say look at 1 Corinthians 13:4 to 7 to give you ideas and of what it is you should be looking for. Because ultimately, we should be with people that are seeking after Christ, that are trying to emulate the love of Christ. Like, no one can ever be perfect in that, but people can strive and try their hardest to emulate the love that God has given to us and is given to us. So love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. Love does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. Love does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and it endures through every circumstance. Prophecy and speaking in unknown languages and special knowledge will become useless, but love will last forever. Now, there's so much more I can say, especially on this. Like, we could do a whole deep dive into a lot of the times our feelings get in the way, pressure gets in the way, opinions get in the way. Please push them to the side. Seek God first. And when I say seek God first, I reiterate this in all my videos. Meditate on the words, delve into it. Be around faith-filled people and listen to faith-fueled things. Know who you are. We grow, we develop every day, but do your best and your hardest to always understand yourself first. Don't pick someone based off what society says. Don't pick someone based off what one auntie is saying or what one uncle is saying or what one person that you've heard about 5 years. Don't pick off based off other people's opinions. Pick based off what your needs. But use your word of God as the blueprint, as the standard. So that's it from me today. Nice to see you all again. Nice to speak to you all again. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Happy Valentine's Day. And remember, you are truly, truly loved forever and for always by the Lord. All right, take care. Bye.